Okay, so as requested last time when we did the Zoom, to say something about the bodhicitta, I will try my best. Now, I should take off my mask. So, bodhicitta is like the quintessence of Mahayana teaching. That's how it is said.
菩提心是大乘的精华教法。那再次的，我必须要这么说。
Again, I have to say this. Our language and what do they call it? Philology is going to be challenging.
我们的语言呢，或者说我们的语言学方面是很有挑战性的。
I think it's really difficult to translate bodhicitta.
对于讲解语言形成了一个很大的挑战。我想就是要正确的翻译菩提心 bodhicitta 这个梵文字是很难的。
According to the Mahayana sutras and the shastras, just the fact that there is the term bodhicitta still alive today, and that you and I are talking about it, this alone means that we have done something so good in our past lives.
按照大乘的佛经论点里面所说，单单是菩提心这个词呢，今天还存在于世，你我等人还会谈论它，这就表示我们过去世已经做了很多很好的事情。
When some sutra says that there will be a day when term such as bodhicitta and its meaning will no more exist, and that is almost close to dark age. Not the total dark age, but quite close.
那么教法当中说，当菩提心这样的词汇以及它的含义，就是有一天不再存在于世了，那就是非常接近黑暗时代的时候了。那个时候还不是完全的黑暗时代，但是已经非常接近了。
Bodhicitta is really vast and deep. This is a big subject.
菩提心非常的广大深奥，对于大乘来说，这是一个非常大的主题。
And of course, initially it was taught by the Buddha, and subsequently there were a lot of teachings on bodhicitta. One of the most popular and revered in Tibet somehow is a text called Bodhicharya Avatara,
那当然
written by Shantideva.
菩提心这个教法是佛陀亲自教导的，那有非常多的教法是关于菩提心的。那出于各种因缘呢，在西藏就是最为广受人尊崇，也最为常见的一部教文，就是《入菩萨行论》，由吉天菩萨所造。
But there were many other texts. It's not just Shantadeva's Bodhicharya Avatara. Many, many other texts.
但是不只是吉天的入行论，还有很多其他的教文，都是在讲菩提心的。
Shantadeva's Bodhicharya Avatara just came into my mind, so I'm saying this.
那刚好我脑中就想到了吉天的入行论，所以我刚刚就讲了入行论。
But if you think about Shantadeva's Bodhicharya Avatara, that text, which is really about bodhicitta, it is, if you think about the context of this text, it's quite something to think about.
但是如果你真正去想入行论这部教文的话，它真的就是在讲菩提心的，然后你还可以去想想它的出现的背景，这真的是非常我们值得思考的一个东西。
I think in places like Peru, again, the reason why I'm talking about Peru is at the moment they're playing football with Brazil, right this very moment.
那像是秘鲁这样的地方，为什么我又讲到了秘鲁呢？因为就在这个时刻呢，秘鲁正在跟巴西踢足球赛。Okay,
so yeah, in Peru, I think there is a civilization called Mayan civilization, right?
那在秘鲁有所谓的玛雅文明，不是吗？
When Bodhicharya Avatara was composed or written or taught in India, Mayan civilization was still alive.
那在入行论
So this is something to think about.
印度被著述、被教导的时候呢，在那个时候玛雅文明还活着，还存在着。我想那个时候可能正是玛雅文明要开始没落的时候，不过还存在着那个时候。
And then in Japan, since it looks like there are some Japanese people listening, Nara period. It was during the Nara period.
那好像线上有些日本人在收听，所以那个时候在日本呢，就是奈良时期。
And in India, I think the Pala dynasty in West Bengal was sort of thriving at that time.
那在印度那个时候，应该是在西班格尔那个地区呢，是帕拉王朝非常繁盛的时候。
This is something to note. Jataka Mala Sutra was, I think, at that time translated in Arabic language.
然后我想这很值得大家知道的，就在那个时候呢，本身曼经呢也被翻译成了阿拉伯文。
And in Indonesia, Borobudur, the big stupa, Borobudur was just beginning to construct.
而在印尼呢，那个时候正是刚开始建造那个波罗波多那个浮屠大佛塔的时候。
And now I have to say this. This is all preparation to say the following. so-called Great Britain doesn't even exist.
那对英国人来说呢，在那个时候呢，所谓的
I hope Richard Dixie is listening.
大不列颠帝国甚至还不存在的。我希望 Dixie 这个人正在听。
Vikings, where are they from? Sweden?
维京人是哪里来的？
Right? Sweden?
瑞典人来的吗
The Swedish Vikings were just beginning to go to England and make the English people learn how to at least be like a human.
那个时候，来自瑞典的维京人正要前往英国，教导英国人怎么变得像一个人类一样。
So, when we look at this context, I think as a Buddhist, I feel very, I feel very moved that such a concept like a bodhicitta is still being studied, practiced, and read in thousands of commentaries.
那作为一个佛教徒呢，想到这样的背景环境，我是非常的感动的。像是菩提心这样的观念呢，仍然被大家在学习、在修持、在阅读，有上千部的论点在讲述菩提心。
Now I think now the idea, the concept, the term bodhicitta has been watered down too much.
但是我想现在菩提心这个理念、这个观念呢，已经被稀释淡化了很多。
The bodhicitta is almost bodhicitta is measured, or bodhicitta is seen as something very philanthropic, compassionate, loving, kind, sort of smiling, non-violent. That's about it. Then people don't go beyond that.
现在大家会把菩提心视为，或者是衡量成某种像慈善事业，就是非常慈悲啊，然后要面带微笑这样的东西。
Now, that is a really big downfall. If you really want to know about bodhicitta, approaching bodhicitta this way is there's a big loss.
这事实上是一个非常大的过错。如果你想要理解菩提心呢，却以那样的方式来看待菩提心的话，那对你是一个很大的损失。
There is an aspect of the bodhicitta that is ruthlessly, relentlessly ruthless aspect. That is so important.
菩提心呢，有一个非常胆大无畏的一个层面呢，这是非常重要的一个层面。
Ruthlessly honest, ruthlessly raw, and ruthlessly, blatant or honest or truthful. This is the part that this aspect of the bodhicitta, not many people pay attention.
菩提心的那个层面，就是它是非常原始、赤裸、非常诚实、非常真实的一面，但是很多人都没有对那个层面呢给予足够的关心。
And I think partly it's because of the fault of a different culture, I would say.
那我会说呢，部分是由于某些文化所造成的结果。
Because almost always when you go to let's say a traditional Buddhist temple, Mahayana temple, a bodhisattva is always depicted as someone who's very compassionate, like very, kind eyes, Avalokiteshvara, Aryatara, very, like nice people, basically.
像是比如说你去大圣的佛教寺庙的话，那些菩萨总是被描绘的是非常慈悲的，就是带着这个慈眉善目，像是观音的形象，像是圣度母的形象，基本上他们都是好像一个好人那种形象。
Even though if you closely look at the Mahayana temples, especially Vajrayana temples, there are a lot of bodhisattvas. They are not what you would in our mundane world would call those nice guys.
但是呢，假如你到大圣的金刚圣寺庙去看的话，那里面会有很多的形象，就不是世俗上这种慈眉善目的善人形象。
They don't look good, very, I don't know, wrathful. Their methods maybe not necessarily, gentle, yeah.
那他们的形象可能不是那么的良善，可能是非常愤怒的，不是很温和的。
And this is because I think, as I said, the aspect of the bodhicitta, which is something to do with the truth, has been watered down or not emphasized or forgotten, and this is why.
这就是我之前所说的关于实相、关于真理的菩提心的那个层面呢，好像被淡化、被稀释掉，没有被重视，或者说是被遗忘了。
This happens. Like someone would say, "Oh, he's really like a bodhisattva." What does this mean? Usually, very, gentle, not short-tempered. I don't know, very forgiving, patient, softly spoken. Usually, we say, "Oh, he's a bodhisattva." We don't hardly say someone who shout, yell, I don't know, rude. We hardly say, "Oh, he's a great bodhisattva."
通常当我们说啊，那个人很像菩萨的时候，通常是指一个很温和的人，他不会很容易发脾气啊，他非常的举止温和，非常的宽容，然后言语非常的柔和，非常的有耐心。我们会说这样是菩萨，我们不会说一个就是大喊大叫、很粗鲁的人是一个伟大的菩萨。
I think bodhisattva also, bodhicitta also gets interpreted as some sort of a kind heart, kind mind, and then that's it. That's where it stops. Doesn't really go beyond that. Then you are missing a big part of the bodhicitta.
那我想有些人会把菩提心基本上就认为就是一个善心、善的意念，然后就停在那里。那我想这样就其实是失去了菩提心很大一部分的真实意义。
In the Mahayana Sutras and the Shastras, they say that the bodhicitta is like an alchemy. If the bodhicitta is just a kind heart, kind mind, loving, compassionate, if that's all there is, then bodhicitta can never become alchemy.
我们经常在佛经论点里面会说，菩提心就像是一个点石成金的那个仙丹一样。但是如果菩提心只是一个善心的话，那它就不会成为一个仙丹。
And also we read in the Mahayana text that as long if you have a bodhicitta, there's not a single thing that you do that will not become beneficial to sentient beings. Such a statement is because bodhicitta is not just kind, gentle, soft, compassionate. It is beyond that. That's why they can afford to say such things.
很多大乘的教文里面都说，只要你具有菩提心，那么不管你做什么呢，都会是在利益有情众生。这正是因为菩提心远远超出了单纯只是善心，单纯只是很温和这样子的概念而已。正是因为如此，他们才能够有这样的宣称。
Okay. So we are going to sort of, I will try to decipher some of the reason why bodhicitta is not just kind, compassionate, loving kindness.
那所以我试着要帮大家解译一下，为什么菩提心不就只是慈悲啊、大爱呀、等等。
At glance, one would think that the bodhicitta is the mind that wishes to free sentient beings from the suffering, which is correct, sort of, not complete, but that has some element.
那就是初看之下呢，菩提心可以说就是希望一切有情众生都能够远离苦这样的心意，这个是正确的，它不是完整的意涵，但是它代表了这一部分，它是有这样的意思。
But bodhicitta is not a mind that wishes to free beings from the suffering. Not just that.
但是菩提心不只是就是希望有情众生能够让他们远离痛苦而已，不只是这样。
It has to go beyond that.
菩提心必须超出那样的想法。
It has to have this element to free beings from the cause of the suffering.
它必须要具有这样的要素，就是它必须要有愿望，是想要引领众生远离苦的因。
Now, even more complicated is what is suffering? And here again, I have to remind people, the English word suffering may be not doing the justice for the word dukkha in Sanskrit.
那更为复杂的就是要知道什么是苦。那我要再次提醒大家，英语的这个 suffering 苦这个字呢，事实上并不足以代表就是梵文的 dukkha。
Of course, what is, I don't need to say that nobody wants to suffer. I mean, that's standard, that's given.
当然我不用说大家都没有人是想要苦的，这是不用说的，大家都有的。
Who wants to suffer? Nobody wants to suffer.
有谁想要受苦呢？没有人想要受苦。
And if we know the cause of that kind of suffering, we will also try to do something.
如果我们知道苦的因是什么的话，我们也会想要对这个因做一些事情的。
So wish and effort to go away from a suffering that we usually talk, that exists with everyone.
所以呢，就是想要远离苦，以及努力远离苦这样子的愿望和努力呢，是每个人都有的。
But not everybody wishes to be free from happiness.
但是并不是每个人都想要远离快乐。
When we talk about a bodhicitta, from the bodhicitta's point of view, happiness is also problematic.
从菩提心的观点来看呢，快乐也是有问题的。
I mean, the happiness that you and I think and talk about.
我指的是你我这样的人会讲会想的那种快乐。
Because from the bodhicitta's point of view, or from the bodhisattva yana's point of view, so-called happiness that we have is actually untrustable. It's conditioned, it's fabricated, it's dependent to lots of cause and conditions. Therefore, you can't really rely, you can't trust.
因为我们讲的这种快乐呢，事实上是从从菩提心的观点来说是不可以被信任的，因为它是有为的，是因缘和合而成的，它是被造作出来的，所以它是你没有办法去信赖的。
But here, to free ourselves from happiness and the cause of happiness, that kind of gut and that kind of courage, lot of Indian wisdom tradition has it. It's not really Buddhism or Mahayana exclusive.
但是呢， 讲到说要让自己远离快乐以及快乐的因呢，那样的勇气事实上是很多印度传统都具有的，这不是单单是佛教，单单是大乘所独有的。
Okay, so I've already said, okay, to be free from suffering, we want. Bodhisattva also want. But Bodhisattva also want to be free from happiness. That's what makes the bodhicitta kind of special.
所以我们说过了，想要远离苦，这个是我们有的，然后也是菩萨们有的。但是菩萨们还想要远离快乐，这个就是菩提心非常特殊的地方。
Now, the third one, even more important, Bodhisattva or the bodhicitta is a wish to free all sentient beings from all phenomena. Now, this is what makes the bodhicitta special.
那么第三个层面呢，就是菩提心也是想要让一切有情众生呢都能够远离一切的现象。
The moment there is a concept, okay, just so that we can understand what I'm talking about, such as values.
那这就是菩提心非常特殊的地方。我们一旦有观念，有某种价值观的时候
I don't know, language.
比如说我们有语言
Even the very path that the bodhisattva is, bodhisattva or the practitioner is practicing, bodhisattva wishes to be free from.
甚至呢，就连这个法道，就是菩萨和行者们在修持的法道呢，他们想要就是能够解脱。
So this makes the bodhicitta, I would say, unique.
他们甚至想连就是自己修持的法道也都想要远离，这个就是让菩提
I'm
心非
sorry,
常特别的
probably
地
I'm
方。
putting it in a very academic and complicated way. I will try to simplify as we go.
我很抱歉，我可能把它讲得太过于复杂，太过于学术化了。就是继续讲下去的时候，我会试着让它变得简单一些，用比较简单的方式来讲讲。
So this example I often use when I teach, such as teach Mahayana path.
那下面讲这个例子呢，是我在教导大乘之道的时候经常使用的例子。
When a mother is playing with a kid in the sand, in the beach.
当一个母亲和孩子在沙滩上玩耍的时候
And when the kids, construct a sand castle.
当这个小孩呢建了一个沙堡的时候
And the mother also really helped building it.
那这个母亲也会去帮这个小孩一起去建造沙堡。
But there is an element, there's a part in the mother that knows that this sand castle is not really a real castle.
但是母亲心中就是其实是知道说这个沙堡不是一个真正的城堡。
This is a good example probably for the bodhicitta.
这可能对菩提心来说是一个很好的例子。
So, earlier I was talking about relentlessly, ruthlessly truthful, so to speak. By the time it's 8 o'clock in the evening, mother will say to the kids, okay, let's pack, let's go back.
这就是我之前在讲的菩提心那个就是赤裸裸的真实层面。因为到了晚上8点的时候，母亲就会跟小孩说，好，那我们现在应该收拾一下回家了。
So, being honest about the fact, whatever. So this element is, I think, something that Mahayana practitioners really can't afford to miss when we talk about the bodhicitta.
基本上就是对事实是非常诚实的这一个层面呢，这个要素呢，是大乘佛教徒在讲菩提心的时候绝对不能够失去的。
Once we understand this aspect, then one will realize that actually with a bodhicitta, all so-called many non-virtue, so-called non-virtuous, actually we can turn them into virtuous.
因为如果你能够了知这个层面的话，经由菩提心呢，事实上是可以让很多所谓的恶转变成善的。这就是之前说那个点石成金的转换剂。
And this is why you hear, like for non-Mahayana, or I don't know, for other religious people, maybe this is something they cannot understand. You know, the Mahayana would say, oh, you know, a bodhisattva could tell a lie, and that lie can be virtuous.
这就是大乘的有些东西，为什么很多其他宗教是没有办法理解的？比如说，我们会说啊，菩萨是可以说谎的，然后那个谎言也可以是善的。
And usually, when we explain this, we always talk about intention. Or a bodhisattva could maybe, for the sake of saving lots and lots of people, maybe tell a lie to a one killer, so on and so forth. But actually, it's not just the intention. It's knowing the truth. Because of that, if a bodhisattva had that kind of, you know, realization of the truth, bodhisattvas, even the non-virtuous action becomes virtuous.
那通常我们会从就是发心你的意图的观点来解释说，为了就是要救无数多的人呢，所以你可以对一个即将就是谋害人的人说谎。但事实上远远不只是这个意图，而是因为这个菩萨是知道实相的，因为他知道实相，所以他能够转恶为善，把他的恶行转成善行。
And even more importantly, not all virtuous actions become a sort of a path to the enlightenment. Many virtuous action ends up becoming a cause for higher birth or a good experience.
也要知道的是呢，并不是所有的善行善业呢，都会变成就是证悟道的一部分。事实上，有很多的善行呢，最终只是让你成为就是投身善趣的因，让你有很好的经验的因。
You could even build a hospital. You can save thousands of people's lives, so on and so forth. But it can still be not a path to enlightenment.
你可以建造一座医院，救了无数多人的性命，但是那也可能不会成为证悟道的一个部分。
But with the bodhicitta, not only the non-virtuous becomes a virtuous, virtuous action become what we call path to the nirvana.
如果你具有菩提心的话，不只是能够转恶为善，而且你的善业呢，也会成为带领你通向涅槃的道途。
Okay. And again, now I'm coming back. I will try to explain slightly from a different angle. And this is because fundamentally, bodhicitta is a union of wisdom and skillful means.
那现在我要试着用不同的角度呢来解释。这么说呢，是因为菩提心就是智慧与方便的双运。
Yes. I don't know how people, when people practice, you know, Mahayana practitioners, we always say we have to have a bodhicitta. And then the way we practice the bodhicitta is usually like, for the sake of the enlightenment of all sentient beings, I shall do this and that.
那大乘呢都会说啊，我们必须要修持菩提心，而修持的方式经常就是要想说，为了要利益就是一切的有情的证悟呢，或者说为了要证悟呢，所以我必须要做这个做这个。
Again, here sometimes we get bogged down by the terms such as enlightenment.
那有时候呢，我们就会因为像是证悟这样的词汇呢，而把自己搞得就是晕头转向的。
What we really meant when we say for the benefit of all, for the sake of enlightenment of all sentient beings, what we really mean is for sentient beings to awaken to this truth one way or another. I shall do this and that. I shall light a lamp. I shall burn an incense. I shall circumambulate a stupa, whatever.
那事实上，我们在说，就是为了利益为了一切有情众生的证悟呢，所以我要做这个事情，做那个事情。事实上，我们真正在做的是要让这些有情众生呢觉醒于实相当中。于是呢，我就会比如说像是点灯啊、燃香，或者是绕塔。
Okay, so yeah, next time when we think about for the to enlighten all sentient beings, I think it would help if you think in this context to awaken sentient beings to the truth.
所以下一次当我们要想说我要令一切有情众生获得真悟的时候，我们应该要用这样的方式来想，我们是要让这些有情众生呢觉醒于实相。
That if you can really contemplate on this, it's a really that's the highest wholesome thought that exists.
如果你真的能够这样好好思考的话呢，你会知道说那事实上是这个世界上存在的最为贤善的一个想法了。
From the Mahayana point of view, wish to awaken others to the truth is far greater than wishing to build a lot of hospitals and saving a lot of lives and so on and so forth.
从大圣的观点来说呢，就是希望有情众生能够觉醒于实相呢，这个远远胜过于要建造医院、救很多人的性命等等。
Okay. So if you think about concepts such as love, compassion, and the bodhicitta, you can kind of make a difference with these three.
所以如果你想思考这个慈心、悲心、菩提心的话，事实上这三者是有分别的。
Wishing somebody happy and have a cause of happiness is considered what? Love, kindness, right?
希望某人快乐，具有快乐的因，这个被认为是慈心。
And wishing others to be free from suffering and cause of suffering, that's considered compassion. This is a very standard way of explaining.
希望他人远离苦，远离苦因，这个是被认为是悲心，这是非常标准的解读方法。
But the bodhicitta has to have this element to awaken beings to the truth. In other words, to place them in the state of enlightenment.
而菩提心必须具有这样的层面，就是要让有情众生觉醒于实相。换句话说，就是要安置他们于正悟之中，于正悟的境界。
So I was talking about union of skillful means and the wisdom.
那记得我刚刚讲过，善巧方面和智慧的结合吗？
So wishing to free others from the suffering or wishing them happy, these are skillful means.
希望别人获得安乐，希望别人远离痛苦，这些是属于善巧方面的层面。
As well, there are methods such as discipline, ethics, patience, and then samadhi, such as mindfulness. These are all skillful means.
还有像是持戒、 安忍、三摩地、正念，这些都属于善巧方便。
But these skillful means, these skillful means without the wisdom, without the prajna, without the, quest for the truth, let's say, for now, all these skillful means are very blind and very misleading also.
但是如果没有智慧，没有般若智慧，或者就目前而言可以说是没有想要追求实相的这样的愿心的话，那这些善巧方便可以是非常误导人的，可以是非常盲目的。
Pick one. We wish other people to be happy.
大家可以选一个，比如说我们希望别人获得安乐。
Okay, without the wisdom. Okay, without the wisdom aspect.
但是我们没有那个智慧的层面。
This is very vague.
这是非常模糊的。
First of all, we don't even know what is happiness.
首先，我们甚至不知道什么叫做快乐，什么叫做安乐。
Okay, we wish no harm to others.
我们希望不要伤害别人。
But that's also very vague.
但是那样的想法也是非常模糊的。
The best thing we could do is what I don't want, I guess the others also don't want. Therefore, I will not give him or her what I don't want or what I don't like. That's about the best thing we could do.
比较具体的做法，可能是我们比较能确定的是说我不喜欢什么，别人可能也不喜欢什么，所以我就不会把自己不想要的东西给别人。
Or whatever you think you are happy with or you feel blissful, I guess others also wish, so I give. So that's very good. I'm not condemning this. It's good. It's very sweet. It's very nice, but that's very vague.
那或者说我就是因为什么东西会快乐的话，那我就会把这个会让我快乐的东西也给别人，因为可能别人也会因为它而快乐。我并不是就是说这是不好的事情，这是很好的事情，但是这还是很模糊不清的，因为这不能够确保一定会这样。
Who knows? Maybe what you like is what the other person really detests.
因为谁知道呢？可能你喜欢的东西正好是别人非常讨厌的东西。
So shoving down what you like in their throat is probably you are doing not a good thing.
所以呢，把自己喜欢的东西强灌给别人呢，这可能也不是一件好事。
So this is why the aspect, this wisdom aspect, if you miss this wisdom aspect, Mahayana idea of the bodhicitta ends up becoming very, very limited and very, it's very, mundane. It becomes mundane. Bodhicitta is not mundane. That's what I'm trying to say.
如果欠缺这样的智慧层面的话，大乘的菩提心就会变得非常的局部性，就会是非常世俗的。我主要在说的就是说，菩提心不是什么世俗的东西。
Okay, we take a break here, and then we will resume again.
我们现在休息一下。